Thank you for tuning in this afternoon, and joining me in studio is John Densmore. John has written a book called Riders on the Storm, My Life with Jim Morrison and the Doors. It's published by Delacorte Press. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Tom.
Now, I wonder if you are, I guess you must be aware of how many people live off the carcass of the Doors, the entity the Doors, today, in Hollywood, for example. You ever take a walk down the strip and see what's out there?
That's a good opener, Tom. But I did play drums on all those songs, so I don't feel too guilty, thanks.
No. I don't mean you. I'm talking about these people who are 18 years old, probably never saw the Doors. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, you were the Doors. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these guys who all think they are the Doors. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of clone folks out there. Wild Child's a band here, Crystal Ship in the East Coast, lots of cottage bootleg, lots of stuff. Well, what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, but it's been a long time since the Doors were an entity, making records and making appearances and what have you. A lot of bands were around back then. Why have the Doors endured this way with young people who may never have even seen the Doors?
It's the drumming, Tom.
Is that it?
That's it.
Come on now.
You know, we had this lead singer who was incredible looking and wrote brilliant words and died young. That's perfect James Dean ingredients, wouldn't you say?
Well, I guess it is. And I've never really understood the James Dean phenomenon either, for that matter. I guess it's die young, stay pretty. I don't understand it. Jim Morrison was a very complicated person. And I have to imagine it must be hard, because you were as much a part of that group as anybody else. It must be hard to always be asked about Jim Morrison, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why, as I wrote in the book, when the art department of the record company gave us the first album cover, I said to myself, why is his head so big and mine so little?
Mm-hmm. Then
I thought, well, I guess his face would sell more records. My face would sell copies of Soldier of Fortune, so...
Let's talk a little bit about how the Doors came to be, because I think that's important now. As you look at how the Doors have endured, really, there was something more to it, I think, than just the death of Jim Morrison. The Doors were very popular when Jim Morrison was alive.
Yeah, well, you know, we did work really hard on these songs all together. And, you know, the important thing is what you're saying with the words and how they fit with the melody, and that really is the key to all this. Forget CDs. I mean, they're great, they're clean, but what's the song, you know? I suppose if one of the Monkees died, the songs wouldn't last.
Do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That sounded pompous, but...
Let's talk a little bit about being famous and being on the road and being with a band that was really an incredible phenomenon at that time. Did you know that the Doors would be that big when you got together?
We had a hunch that we might do something, and we were kind of confident, not cocky, but I had no idea I'd be sitting here now, 20 years later, blah-blahing.
You were a young guy back then.
20.
That's young.
Yeah.
That's young to be that successful and to make that much money. And
a lot of people die from a big peak like that early.
I imagine. Now, did you? Now, we hear all the time about people in the music industry who, seem to make a lot of money. And they really didn't. Did you get your share?
Yeah, it was Jim's idea before we did anything to split all the publishing, all the live playing, everything. Because he didn't know how to play an instrument or write a song, really. He just said, let's just do this all together. And so Robbie Krieger, the guitar player, wrote Light My Fire and Touch Me and several of the big hit singles. But still, him getting a quarter of the total pie, it's been a wonderful pie.
I guess it has, and I guess the royalties must still come in to this day, I would assume.
Yeah, it gave me time to sit in front of a word processor for several years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you worry about the story? We were talking about this off the air, that I've heard of 2 movies about the Doors. One of them's Oliver Stone, isn't it? And isn't there another movie also, or is it...
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've heard, I heard the other day someone had a script where Jim was vicariously involved and an art thief and living in Paris or something, A lot of talk.
But don't you worry about how that story is going to be told once it makes it to the screen?
Well, yes, I do. I was a consultant on the Oliver Stone movie, and I gave him all the notes I could, and he took what he wanted and left some of the rest. And I've seen really powerful dailies. That's the footage that hasn't been cut yet. I'll see a rough cut in a few weeks, and then I'll have an overall feel. So the critical thing is what's on the floor and what's on the screen. And he said he wanted to make a movie that said Jim died for his art, for his words. I said, that's fabulous, But after reading the script, I said, well, let's be careful, Oliver, that you don't undermine what you're trying to say with drugs and sleaze and rock and roll, which is all there. Jim had all that. So what's the balance? And we'll all find out in spring of '91.
Well, I guess we will. We'll take a break. We'll talk some more with John Densmore. More of your telephone calls coming up, and you can talk to John. Call us in L.A. and the Valleys at 5201-KFI from the 213 or the 818 area codes 5201-KFI. Or call us toll-free from Orange County or the Inland Empire. Dial 1-800-553-4640. If you're on the 714 area code 619 or 805, call 1-800-553-4640. We'll pay for your telephone call and put you on the air. Up next, the lowest gasoline prices in Southern California. 421, Tom Leykis live over KFI AM 640. LA Orange County weather from KFI tonight. Coastal fog and low clouds extending inland overnight. Light winds. Lows in the lower 50s to the lower 60s. For tomorrow and Sunday, night and morning low clouds with hazy afternoon sunshine. Highs around 80. Lows tomorrow night in the upper 50s to the lower 60s. Right now, Civic Center reporting clear skies, 80 degrees. Santa Monica clear at 74. Santa Ana clear at 78. And Burbank clear skies, 84 degrees here at KFI AM 640. 422, I'm Tom Leykis here with John Densmore. He was the drummer for The Doors. His book is called Riders on the Storm, My Life with Jim Morrison and The Doors, published by Delacorte Press. And we were talking about the image that's portrayed in movies. Why did you write the book? I mean, obviously, everybody writes a book these days. Why did you write one?
Well, first of all, I wrote it. It's not a with book. John Densmore with. Well, 10 years ago was writing journals, getting out all these feelings and frustrations, angry with Morrison over his self-destruction and things. And a friend of mine said, hey, you got a book here. And then I tried to write a book and got rejected. And
you got rejected?
By the very publisher that published the big No One Here Gets Out Alive, Warner Books, who, that Doors book. Maybe I didn't write so good, but maybe I write better now. I don't know what it is. It takes a long time to learn,
Did it do anything for you to get it all out?
Yeah. I can take these 300 pages and say, well, there's 20 years of my life, and throw it over my head and move on to the 90s.
Feels better now?
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
Promoting this sucker. I'm going to write some more. I got into writing. I'm going to write the big F, fiction.
You are?
Next year or something, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
And I miss music, so I'm going to play some more. I don't know what yet. But
have you played since the Doors broke up?
Yeah, I did a recording session a few weeks ago for a Robert Downey movie. A little here and there. I sat in punk clubs and stuff. Played with Billy Vera and the Beaters the other night on the Rick Dees show.
You did?
Yeah. We played Love Me Two Times.
That's wild.
Fun.
That's wild. Let's take some calls for John Densmore. Let's start with Jan, a first-time caller from Riverside on KFI. Hello.
Hi, I'm a great Doors fan.
Hi.
I was wondering what John's opinion is of Billy Idol and the Cure's remakes of Doors songs is.
Yeah, he did L.A. Woman.
Yeah, and the Cure has just started playing Hello, I Love You on the radio. And it's not as good as the Doors, but...
Excuse me, who did Hello, I Love You?
The Cure.
The Cure.
They're just playing it on the radio just in the past week.
Oh, I haven't heard that yet. Well, Billy Idol's L.A. Woman has got a nice groove. It's a hair fast, Billy. But and then the Aerosmith does "Love Me Two Times," pretty good.
Oh, I haven't heard that, but
Yeah, it's good.
oh well, do you like it?
Yeah, I tell you, Jose Feliciano did "Light My Fire" in such a different way. He made it a ballad. To see someone interpret something entirely different is very interesting, rather than sort of copy our arrangements.
All right.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jan. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Richard is a first-time caller from Van Nuys on KFI. Hello.
Hello, John.
Hi, Richard.
This is an old locker mate of yours at Webster Junior High.
What?
An old locker mate at Webster Junior High.
I did go to Daniel Webster
We
in
shared
West
a
Elm.
locker there in 1957, 58, and 59. You always had your drumsticks in there, and Mrs. Skiles was your music teacher.
No, Mr. Armour was
Mr. Armour, he was crazy. They locked him up.
They did? I loved him. Well, hi,
Yeah,
Richard. It's
that's
been a long
time ago. I tried to get in touch with you on a couple of talk shows and never got through.
That's why you write a book, John. See, this
Hey,
is...
no, I'm really glad to see you still around and that you got something out of it, man. That's great.
Thanks, Richard.
No, really. I still see a lot of the kids from the school that you would know if I was to sit and talk with you, and I just thought, I knew you were going to be on today. I hoped I could get through, and I said hi. Think about it when you're off the air and look in your yearbook and say hi to me.
Okay, Richard.
Okay, good luck, huh?
All right.
Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye now. Isn't that wild?
Wild.
Paul in
Great.
Palmdale, you're on KFI with John Densmore. Hello.
How you doing, John?
Hi, Paul.
Hey, thanks for all the great music, first of all.
Well, thanks.
And I didn't get a chance to read your book yet, but I read No One Here Gets Out Alive.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how accurate you feel that is, but my impression overall of the book was that Jim was one of the earlier examples in rock where a person was quite entrapped by his fame and the complexities of the business. And also that, most of the, or some of the Doors songs anyway, seem to deal with the subject of death. Do you feel that this had, anything to do with his hard lifestyle? And how did you balance your private life out with your life in the band?
A lot of questions. Well, first of all, No One Here Gets Out Alive is accurate. Jim did all those crazy binges, only he did some other things too. I hope I fill those out in my book. How did that crazy guy write sensitive lyrics? Yeah, he was kind of obsessed with death. Wait a minute. What were the other questions?
Well, I was just wondering if you thought that the way he wrote some of those songs, do you think he almost had a death wish in the way that he lived his lifestyle according to the book? It looked like he did, at any point in time he could have died.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's why I don't think his demise was as simple as fame and fortune. I think he came in with some demons and found a vehicle to express himself and checked out early.
All right. Thank you for the call, Paul. Here's Tim in Marina Del Rey on KFI 427. Hello.
Hello, John.
Hi, Tim.
I met you once in New York City when you had your performance at that Off-Broadway show.
Oh, thanks for coming to that.
I really liked that. I thought it was really good.
Oh, great. This was a one-act play I wrote and performed. I did some acting.
I heard about that. In fact, you were on another talk show talking about that.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
The reason I'm calling is I wanted to tell you about my experience with Jim has influenced me greatly, and I've written a script that is an interpretation of An American Prayer, which is, for the listeners, is a collection of Jim Morrison's poetry that you guys produced in, 77?
Yeah.
And I tried to get that into the hands of you guys. I finally got it to Manzarek, and he seemed like he was interested in it, and I never heard from him again. And then I talked to Sugarman once, and he told me that they couldn't read it because it might influence the upcoming movie.
Well, I'll ask Ray about it.
Because the way I always viewed it is the thing that I'm concerned about the movie that's coming up is it's going to be a big exploitation of Morrison's life, and I truly believe that Jim would rather see a movie that dealt with, some of the concepts of his lyrics.
.435, 25 before 5 o'clock. Tom Leykis live over KFI AM 640. We're here with you Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. As you head home, coming up between 5 and 7, wide open telephones today here at KFI AM 640. With me in studio, John Densmore, the drummer for The Doors. His book, Riders on the Storm, My Life with Jim Morrison and The Doors, published by Delacorte Press. We continue with your telephone calls. Joshua is a first-time caller from La Jolla on KFI. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, John. It's nice to speak to you.
Hi, Joshua.
I did an interview with Robbie a few weeks back for a little college paper when he was doing the street scene. And one thing I wanted to ask you about was the when you and him did the Butts Band project in the early 70s. Is any of that music ever going to be available?
Well, we made 2 albums with different band members. I guess they are out of circulation, huh?
Yeah, I've never seen it anywhere. So
well,
somewhat intrigued me. The Doors members playing reggae, but
yeah. Well, we were in Jamaica before the Wailers came to the United States, so we knew it was coming. The first album was on Blue Thumb Records. Oh, second one was on same label. So I don't know if you can track them down.
Okay, and I just had one other question. When I interviewed Robbie, he said that one of the things that somewhat bothered him about No One Here Gets Out Alive was that he felt that Sugarman would take certain liberties with Jim, and talk about, certain things that he didn't do or exaggerate them or whatever. Do you feel the same way?
I don't feel No One Here Gets Out Alive is that exaggerated, actually, except where Danny said I was busted for grass. Thank you, I was not. Other than that, it's pretty accurate. It's just, it's just one side. That's the Dr. Jekyll of the... Wait a minute, that's the Mr. Hyde. Excuse me, that's Mr. Hyde. There's the Dr. Jekyll and a lot of other characters, too.
Thank you, Joshua. Here's Mark in La Cañada on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, Mark.
Thanks for taking my call. John, my question is regarding, I read the book, too, No One Here Gets Out Alive, and it really doesn't paint a very good picture of Jim as far as being a friend to the rest of the band members, or just a friend in general to anybody. I mean, how did you work with somebody that it appears he isolated himself from all of you?
Well, in the early days, like the first few years, Jim was a great friend, and we used to drive around and talk about making it and talk about life and books and girls and etc. And I tell you, as his self-destruction increased the last few years, I and Ray and Robbie pulled away. He knew it was because we disapproved of his self-destruction. And, you got to be careful or you go down with a peer who's overdoing it.
The other thing regarding him, and in that book as well, he had a rather strange relationship with his parents, if you could call it that at all. The book paints it out to be a real hate relationship. Did he ever talk to you about that, or?
Well, no. Let's see. He said they were deceased in his original bio, which they are not. That was kind of abrasive. I think he was trying to say, I'm free, break away from your parents sort of thing. His mom did come to a gig in Washington, D.C., and Jim hid from her. So it was strained.
Yeah, the book paints it like he used some real choice words at that concert directed right at his mother.
Yeah. And his dad was an admiral in the Navy. What can I say? Maybe that upbringing made him make a grave for the unknown soldier nestled in your hollow shoulder.
Thank you for the call, Mark. Sharon is a first-time caller from Escondido on KFI 440 with John Densmore. Hello.
Hi, how are you, John?
Hi.
What was it like to perform on stage with police always there just ready to jump into action?
Well, it wasn't like that all the time. Sometimes it was very quiet. We played Light My Fire. Everyone got up and sort of jumped around, but then we would play the end, which kind of seemed to drain and level everyone, and people would file out quietly, which was kind of an interesting reaction. I liked it.
Thank you, Sharon. Andrew in Hollywood, you're on KFI at 440. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Isn't it funny how Tom and John and myself, how we all have interesting and different views of Miami?
Oh.
Well, you might be right about that, actually. Of course, our time frames are different too, probably.
It's true. So we all have unique and different experiences from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
My question to John is this: as far as a band of today compared with your band, The Doors, what do you think is the band that is on the cutting edge, like you folks were in that psychedelia era?
Boy, I don't have my finger on the pulse of what's happening musically, but I know all the new books coming out. I like rap music. I like that voice, that new voice. I don't know anybody in particular.
Well, let me tell you. Remember how Jim got thrown in jail in Rafer? Now we got Luther Campbell, up in trial in Hollywood, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That must be like, 20 years from now, they're going to be saying, Luther Campbell, he was just like the greatest,
Well, we'll see.
Maybe history will repeat itself like that. We never know.
Well, I wonder about that. Thanks, Andrew.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, we'll continue with John Densmore. More of your telephone calls coming up. 442-18 now. Before 5 o'clock, I'm Tom Leykis here on KFI AM 640. Tonight, Joe Crummy at 7, Mother Love at 10, and it'll be the Larry King Show tonight at 1 a.m. Larry's guest tonight, James Brown, will be on the phone from his jail cell with Larry. That's going to be interesting. I've always wanted to hear an interview with James Brown where I could understand a word he was saying, but you'll try tonight with Larry at 1. Then at 2, Steve O'Donnell, the head writer for Late Night with David Letterman, will talk about the success of the program. How do you follow James Brown? I don't know. Well, that's the lineup tonight. Joe Crummy at 7, Mother Love at 10, and the Larry King Show at 1 a.m. here on KFI AM 640. We're here with John Densmore and his book, Riders on the Storm, My Life with Jim Morrison and the Doors, published by Delacorte Press. Here's Bob, a first-time caller from Los Angeles on KFI. Hi, Bob.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Fine. I just got a phone call saying John was talking about me. John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
My name is, can I mention my last name?
Sure.
Bob Armour.
Bob Armour. It's my music teacher.
There you go.
And I recognize this voice, and the guy said that you were locked up or something.
Who?
It's the caller said that.
Some maniac. You know how it is out there. Hi, Bob.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Fantastic.
Haven't talked to you in about, 25 years?
Yeah, and one time your son plays keyboards, right?
Oh, yeah.
He came over to my house and we jammed.
Yeah, he told me about that.
Good player.
He's a good musician.
Wow.
But I haven't talked to you, and I just heard about your new book. I'm going to have to get out and read it.
Well, thanks. You were my inspiration. You're in there. You told me to...
I'm still doing it, still playing the flute, managing a few orchestras.
Yeah?
And...
You were the one who said I should take private lessons and really help me.
Great.
All right.
Yeah. Listen, we ought to get together sometime and talk about old times, but not
Let's
on
do.
640.
Okay.
Nice to talk with you, John.
Okay.
Thank you, but you want to leave
Bye.
a phone number or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on there. We'll take your phone number.
Thank you.
Hang on there. Okay. That's wild, isn't it?
That's my junior high music teacher.
It's like this is your life today. It's amazing.
Great.
Janie in Los Angeles, you're on KFI at 448. Hello.
Hi, John. I had a comment and then also a question. I saw you twice, the Doors twice, a long time ago at the Fillmore East in New York City. And at that particular concert, we were really excited, but Jim was he couldn't stand up practically, and he couldn't sing. And it was a pretty rowdy crowd, and that didn't help it. I was a little bit scared about that time. And we also saw you at Hunter College in New York City.
Yeah.
And I was way up front, and it was just fantastic. I'll never forget it. Everybody just played so beautifully, and it was just, I'll never forget it. It was great.
Oh, thank you.
My question to you is, what was it like with Jim at times like that? I mean, what did you say to him in a concert like that where he was just falling all over himself?
Yeah, well, that's a perfect example of how I loved him and hated him. Loved him for his creativity and hated him for his self-destruction. So, it was yin and yang all the time.
Well, I still love Break On Through to the Other Side. Whenever I want to get in touch with that wild and crazy teenager in me, I just turn up the stereo and listen to that song and dance around and go crazy, and I still love it.
Great.
It was great talking to you.
Wild and crazy teenager.
Thank you, Janie.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Mike, first-time caller from San Dimas. You're on KFI at 449 with John Densmore. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, John, just a light comment and then one question.
Yeah.
Good to talk with you. When I was about 13 or 14, the first Doors album came out, and I just wanted to say that your playing inspired all of us to sit down with one snare and a cymbal, a home piano, and a 8-inch speaker with a guitar. We played Light My Fire and Soul Kitchen about 100 times until it inspired us to, become musicians. However, I ended up playing bass for 15 years in a nightclub. But the question is, do you remember the album Full Circle?
Sure.
Did you play on that one?
Of course. That was the second. We made 2 albums after Jim died, and then we realized, what are we doing here? The first one, we couldn't give up. The 3 of us wanted to keep playing, and by the second one, we were kind of, wait a minute, where's our focal point here? This is ridiculous.
What do you mean? What focal point were you looking for?
Well, Jim, the center of the diamond. And we had a contract for several more albums with lots of big money, and we just went, we got to stop this.
Well, it sounded like the Doors. I mean, it was a good album. I really liked it.
Thank you.
I have an 8-track copy of it. It's gone. I don't know if I can get it again. I doubt it, but.
Well, it was the Doors, but we decided not to replace Jim. That would be too much pressure on someone else. So Ray and Robbie tried to sing.
Yeah, I loved it. It sounded like the Doors. In fact, it almost sounded like Jim Morrison too.
Great.
It was good. And also, I saw it at the Carousel Theater in West Covina in 1967. It costed $3, and we had great seats, and it was amazing.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Ron, first-time caller from Huntington Beach. You're on KFI 451. Hello.
Hello, John.
Hi, Ron.
How are you tonight?
Good.
I have a question that's actually been on my mind for over 25 years. And,
boy, spit it out.
You and I had gone on a couple of double dates with a girl.
No, come on.
No, seriously. And do you remember Heidi?
Sure. I wrote about her in the book. This is my first girlfriend.
That's right. That's right. We actually went to the Coconut Grove, and I believe we saw Johnny Mathis there together.
That's right. Who are you?
Ron DeLaura.
Ron DeLaura.
Ronnie DeLaura.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that goes back to like 63, I believe.
Oh, man. Well, Robin Williams said if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. Sorry, I don't remember you, Ron.
I understand. But yeah, that was my question. I was just wondering whatever happened to Heidi.
Gee, I don't know. I hope she's well.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
I just ran into, probably about 2 years ago, Kathy, the girl that I double dated with you on that particular evening.
Uh-huh.
And she's doing well. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to know.
Well, thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Larry, first-time caller from Torrance. You're on KFI. Hello.
Hi, John.
Hi. God, I'm expecting my mom to call now.
I just wanted to ask, I think you're probably one of the most underrated drummers of all time.
Oh, thanks a lot.
And I was wondering, were you ever influenced by Ginger Baker?
Yes, good question. On Hello, I Love You, Robbie Krieger, our guitar player, said to me, why don't you turn the beat around like Ginger Baker does on Sunshine of Your Love?
Right,
da, da,
exactly.
da, da, da. And I did, and it worked. And I met Ginger 6 months ago on a talk radio show, and they introduced us as living legends.
Wow, that's
And
great.
I said, Ginger, that means we're supposed to be dead. And Ginger said, I am, mate.
Well, I also thought on the song on Morrison's Hotel, You Make Me Real.
Yeah.
The same type of drumming too.
Yeah, fast sort of drumming.
Right. Okay. I thought you guys were the best band of all time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. We'll continue our final moments coming up with John Densmore. Stay tuned. 4:53, 7 now before 5 o'clock. Tom Leykis live over KFI AM 640. How do you go from being the Doors to being something else? I mean, you do other things now. You've written a play. You're still involved in the music industry, but how do you go from one to the other?
That's the stuff that keeps me alive and keeps me from self-destructing. After being in front of 24,000 people at Madison Square Garden, I found myself in front of 12 people in a small acting class, but I didn't have my drums. I was the instrument, and it terrified me, and I thought, this will be good for me. This will keep me out of trouble. And it did, and it got me into writing. So, you keep doing it, and it doesn't have to be that big, on a big scale.
You ever get tempted, like so many people do, to want to be the Doors forever at one point in time, or did you always know it had to end?
As I wrote in the book, Of the Doors seems to be permanently etched on my forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it bugs me, but I'm very proud that the music has lasted.
What are your plans for the future? The movie's going to come out. I'm sure you'll have some involvement with it when it comes out.
Yeah, I don't know whether to go to the premiere or leave town. I'll find out in a few weeks when I see a rough cut. I'd like to write, as I said before, and play some music. I have a small part in this Doors movie. So
who do you play?
I don't play myself or my dad. I'm an engineer who records Jim's poetry when he's about to go. Maybe I'll get into acting some more. That would be fun.
How was your performance?
Well, you're going to have to judge that, Tom. It was subtle, because it was a subtle part.
Was it a small part?
Yeah.
So we'd have to it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock appearing in his own movie.
No, you'll know. It's not a cameo. It's more than a cameo. Yeah.
Unbelievable. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming down here today, John. We've enjoyed it.
Been a blast.
John Densmore. The book is called Writers on the Storm. It's published by Delacorte Press. And coming up, the phones open up wide to you between now and 7 o'clock.